Trent Stuckey coming in hot, 2022, headed into the 23 season. Don't you think it's the utopic time to release the Utopia? Hi Trent, how's it going, bud?
It's going pretty good.
Nice. A lot's been happening in your world, huh?
It has been, yes.
Yeah, had a big season last year. Dropping a new pro model this year. That's exciting, huh?
It is very exciting, yes.
So, I remember seeing you and your bro from the time you guys were about this tall. OWC, then coming out to the lake, hitting all the setups. What has it been like to, now you've entered a whole new chapter of, your wakeboarding career. What has it been like to literally grow up and eat, breathe, and sleep wakeboarding in the Orlando wakeboard scene?
Yeah, ever since, even before me, both my parents wakeboarded before I was born.
Right.
So that's kind of how I got into it. So I've been eat, sleeping, breathing it my whole life pretty much, and just literally lived through all the stages. It's pretty sick. I remember coming out. Yeah, you found me guys at OWC. Just me and my brother. We were probably 7 or 8 years old. I was just this tall, just learning to hit the features, and we've been just living with Ronix ever since.
Yeah, it's been cool. But for me, it's been very cool watching you guys grow up and watching you progress, and then watching you go berserk the last couple years. But was there a time just being that enveloped in wakeboarding your whole life? Was there a time where you were I've wakeboarded so much, I don't do it. Is this really what I want to do? And then was there a time when you were it just clicked and you're just all out from there?
I wouldn't say there was ever really a time where I was kind of over wakeboarding or thinking of quitting at one point. Ever since we found cable riding and rode for first year or two, I was in love with it. But sometimes in the winter stuff, when it gets colder, I'll step away from the wakeboarding and start skateboarding more, or go on a snowboarding trip or something like that. So I think that also kind of helps me stay interested in wakeboarding.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. You kind of get inspired off the water to do things on the water.
Kind of take a little break and then come back even harder.
Yeah, it's always good to step away, get inspired, and come back refreshed and with a little pep in your step, for sure. I remember, keep going down memory lane for a second. I remember the first time when we really, got the bi-level going, and you guys came back and checked it out. And what was that like, coming, riding you guys were, as young kids killing OWC and, doing that. But what was it like the first time you came in, rode the bi-level, and you could show up in Dom and Parks and all the, Mossies and the whole gang? What was that like?
It was definitely pretty intimidating, I'd say, because just this little 9 or 10-year-old kid, and then all the pro riders out here. But more than that, I'd say I remember my first time ever coming back here to the bi-level. You ride the cable. There's nothing like the setup that we have out here. It's insane, and it's pretty intimidating your first time riding it.
For sure.
I remember riding it the first time. We had a metal down flat down on the right.
I love that rail. That felt good.
And I couldn't ollie onto it. I didn't want to ollie onto it, so it's definitely pretty intimidating riding out there the first time.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about going into last year's contest. Even before going into last year's contest season, that off season, you and your bro and your whole family and the twins and everyone, you guys were out here just putting clips away. Dave AV came and filming for Sincerely Trent. Tell me a little bit about your whole process of what you wanted to accomplish and the tricks you had on your list, and just like your overall outlook of filming, like a section that you were filming, editing, and saying, "Hey, this is where I'm at."
Yeah, it was definitely. Well, I got the idea that I want to make a video to kind of kickstart my pro career.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when you take on a video, it's a really hard task. There's
For sure.
writing, landing all your tricks, the filming, the editing. It takes months and months. And yeah, like you said, Dave AV came down. He actually stayed at my house for like about 2 months.
Yep.
And we were just filming. We were out here at the lake almost every day, riding in the summer. And shout out the twins for always coming out to operate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I landed the double KGB first last year. So I sent that into a trick of the year, and then one trick of the year that year.
Yeah, you did.
And then that kind of inspired me to just start going for more different types of double mode variations and everything out here. And that really set my ambitious high. So there was a pretty stacked list of tricks I had in my phone. We didn't get all of them, but I'd say we got a pretty good amount and just stacked all the different types.
The amount of tricks that you put down for that was insane. I mean, double Pete, switch double Pete. I remember when I saw you do the switch double Pete the first time out there, I was just like, are you joking me? Like, I was just definitely not expecting you to do it regular, then switch. Then you did the double T to B, or double T to B. Then you did the, what would you call it, the double T to B3? Double Moby Dick?
Double Moby Dick.
Yeah. Try to stay away from the name Moby Dick. I don't know why. It just always kind of irked me. I'm not really sure why. Double T to B3.
Sounds cool.
No, but it was mind blowing to watch for me. Like just seeing, and then the cool thing about it was like it brought really brought back some memories of like filming for Incomplete, like in the Pointless era, like you and just your friends, your brother and your family, and just out there pushing each other and organically letting it happen. And to see that you had like a list of you had different things you wanted to accomplish and check them off the list was really cool to see, and it was cool to be a fly on the wall for all that.
Yeah, it was. We set out, I would say my mindset in filming the video was, I wanted to put out one of the most, or if not the most, stacked video parts of all time. And also kind of like help revive Lake Ronix back into those days, like you said. We had Brad out here at the mega ramp and everything. Yeah. Lake Ronix was everything, so I wanted to try to help bring some of that life back. And I think we did so.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that was that booter definitely is pretty well known because of you for sure. What is you and your bro and your family, you guys travel a good bit. What was the whole European contest scene like going to Langenfeld and taking the W? And I mean, you went over to Europe for your first time and stood up.
Yeah, so this season was my first time going to Europe in general, but overseas to do all the international contest scene, because almost all the competitions are international in Europe. There's almost none in the U.S. anymore. But it was definitely a pretty intimidating thing to go over to Europe, and then you have to ride against all the European guys. You're like one of the few, if not the only American. So come over, you gotta try to like prove yourself to them, I guess.
For sure, yeah. Europe. I mean, to go over it for the first time, that's a proving ground without a doubt.
Yeah, and I would say even more. Langenfeld was the first contest after I dropped my video.
Yeah.
So the video kind of went big, and then so Langenfeld was literally like the proving ground.
Exactly.
From the video.
You went there and had something to prove, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. You just went and blew people's mind with this video section, and they wanted to see it go down for real. And the fact that you could back it up is pretty badass. Pretty badass. So So I can imagine that, knowing your dad and, growing up and how into actual, board shapes, designs, and everything and he is, and, working with Jay Stanley on your first pro model. What was one, did you right off the bat have a vision for what you wanted? And two, kind of tell us the process of what you guys went through designing the Utopia.
Yeah, I would say that we definitely had, if not a certain vision, but a pretty good idea of what we wanted the board to turn out as. So, and anyone knows, designing a board is a really long process.
Yeah.
It takes, from beginning to end, I think we had made 11 different prototypes.
Wow.
So 11 different versions of the board just to going through it. But yeah, it's a really long process. Going through the shape, trying to get a board that is not only a performance board that can do the biggest kicker tricks or the biggest ollies, but can also you can have fun and do a nice nose press or wheelie across the lake.
Right.
So you have to go from finding the board that's at first way too flexy and to the exact opposite of the spectrum and just keep going back and forth until you get the middle.
I like that you said that it needs to be performance orientated, but then also you need to be able to have fun on it. I feel like that's a big deal. That balance is a really important part of a good, specifically, cable board. I feel like that's sometimes a hard blend to find.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that's obviously every board has pros and cons because it's more to one side or more to the other. But that was the idea with this board, was we wanted a board that can go to either side based on what you want it to do. So it's, if you want it to be that performance board, it can be, but if you want it to be that flexy, playful board, it can also be that.
Right. And I mean, you're obviously a big kicker guy, and I mean, destroy the rails. Was there a certain feeling or something that you for landings and stuff like that? Obviously, that had to be a pretty important part of what you were looking at when you were designing the Utopia.
Yeah, we definitely took into account the landings really heavily, because obviously you want a board that lands soft, but you sacrifice some of the landings, the flexier you make it lands harder. So
right.
We had to really find that good balance of it can land soft, but also board be soft enough to be flexy.
Right. What so going into this year, you're obviously gonna hit the Euro tour and all that.
Yeah, we definitely are. We're gonna try to hit all the contests. We got Langenfeld's first coming up, and then Wake Duel, Wake the City, Munich Mash, Worlds, and Plastic.
Mm-hmm.
So this year the contest season is very long. So I think I'll be spending probably about 2 to 3 months in Europe this summer.
Very cool. Taking in the European culture. What so kind of I was talking to Jamie Lapina earlier, and she was saying she really brought up something that was really cool just about wakeboarding in general, and kind of post-COVID, the vibe at contests is people are refreshed, and there's a lot of a really good energy of people wanting to be there. And in Europe you have a lot big crowds and stuff like that. Can you touch on that a little bit, just the overall vibe of when you're out riding, does the crowd are you just in Trent's world, or are you letting the vibrations come in?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say for the full extent of the vibes because I didn't get to go to Europe for the pre-COVID contest.
Exactly.
So I've only experienced after, but for the crowd part, I would definitely say, yeah, Europe has massive crowds that come to watch. It's just people lining the sides. And I would say that definitely fuels me as a rider. It's you're going in, you do a big trick, you land it, you hear everyone scream.
For sure.
And cheer, and then you're just locked in and you're going. I'd say it fuels me.
Definitely. I mean, I remember there was years on the pro tour back in the day, when we'd be at really good stops with big crowds, and it's you get a trick or two in, and the crowd's like carrying you, and you get to a point where it almost feels like you can't fall because like you're not even thinking about what you're doing anymore. It's just happening. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's
I
a
know
beautiful
exactly
place
the
to
feeling.
be.
It is.
That's a beautiful place to be. What else? What I mean, obviously, you guys. I see that. Actually, I want to talk about this now that I'm looking at your board. I love the graphic. I think it turned out great, and you had a lot of input on this graphic, didn't you?
I did. Yes, thank you for the graphic. I did. We went through.
Thank Britt.
Yeah. Thank you for making the graphic. She did amazing with it. I think it looks absolutely awesome. But yeah, we went through a couple stages. The main idea that the graphic is centered around is the rose. It's like the main thing. And I would say the meaning behind the rose is, if we go back to my video, Sincerely Trent, if you look at the description, it says Trent's love letter to wakeboarding. If you write like a love letter, you sign it like sincerely your name.
Of course.
And I would say something that people would send with love letter is like a rose. They're associated with that. So say the video is like my love letter and the board is like the rose to go with it.
That's deep. I like it. I like the story behind that. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, ever since I started wakeboarding, I've fully fallen in love with it. So
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a when you dedicate your life and your time to something, it's definitely a sometimes it's a love-hate, sometimes it's just you're madly in love with it, but like any other relationship, you ride the waves, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, 10 years from now, what do you want to see in your career happen, and like what are the goals that you want to accomplish?
Yeah, it's a pretty hard question, but I would say definitely with these next few years coming up, just go after the entire competition scene and just go for all the competitions and awards and everything like that. And then I would also like to put a few more video parts out, and I don't know. I also want to start riding more boats soon.
Yeah.
Just start transferring to the boat world too. But I would say honestly that I feel like I'm such I'd say I don't really have a specific amount of like goals I want to get to, because if you love like wakeboarding so much, I don't think that I will ever be satisfied. Like I have the desire to always go for more.
I like it.
So I don't think there's ever like a certain point where I will feel like satisfied with.
So you can't cap it with a certain amount of goals because you think it'll never be enough.
Yes.
I like that. I respect that. That's very cool. Yeah, I gotta say it's been an insane last couple of years. Actually, I mean, an insane, over a decade watching you grow up and, come into your own. And last year you destroyed the contest scene, and so pumped to see your name on a board. I think the graphic looks great, and I can't wait to see you shredding it at the product shoot this next couple of days. And yeah, cheers, Trent. Just thanks for coming out. Thanks for being on the show, and great talking to you. We'll see you next time. Cheers.